Good afternoon and welcome to the first ever virtual summer send-off series hosted by our very own New York Canes community. My name is Desiree Rodriguez and I serve as the University of Miami's Assistant Vice President for Lifelong Engagement, which means that I will help you stay connected to the university for every stage of your life. Whether you need career advice or opportunities to network with fellow Canes, our office is at your service. We focus on supporting the almost 190,000 living alumni throughout the country and the world. If I can move to the next slide, I will show you what that looks like. Here you can see alumni and where they live all over the country. Many right in your backyard. We manage more than 30 Canes communities globally, which represent alumni, families, and supporters of the University of Miami. We also have college and school-based alumni associations and a series of special constituency and affinity groups, including the Black Alumni Society and the LGBTQ Canes as examples. These groups all work very closely with student organizations on campus and offer support, mentorship, and of course, an opportunity for you to join once you graduate. I'm thrilled to see that we have incoming students joining us today from all over the country. With more than 2,400 first-year students from more than 40 states and 50 countries joining us this fall, we have received a record number of first-year applications, more than 40,000. So congratulations on being part of one of the most competitive and diverse classes in university history. We also have more than 500 transfer students joining us this fall, and this afternoon, we have lots of parents and families on this call, so thank you for being here and taking the time to learn about this extensive Cane network that you are officially joining. So, what's Summer Send-Off all about? We can go to the next slide. Summer Send-Off is a University of Miami tradition that welcomes incoming freshmen and transfer students along with their families to the community. It is an opportunity for you to connect with other students, parents, and alumni from your area and serves as a welcome to the Canes network of which you are now a part, whether you like it or not. We are thrilled to have incoming students, again, from all over the country and cannot congratulate you enough for being part of this class. Welcome to the University of Miami.
Your story is just beginning. Now is the time. Learn. Get involved. Be adventurous. Celebrate success. Embrace tradition. Challenge convention. Discover your passion. Lead orange and green. Write your story.
As you can see, this is your time to shine, to write your unique story and to add it to the Canes network. So before we get started and get too deep here, I want to share a couple of logistics with you to ensure you get the most from today's conversation. The chat feature is available to you and it will be open the entire conversation. So please, please, please feel free to introduce yourselves, tell us who you are. We want to know you and we want you to meet each other. You can also use the Q&A feature if you'd like to ask a question to any of our speakers. The program is going to include both student and alumni speakers. And again, we want this to be interactive. So you're gonna get to answer some poll questions, you're gonna test some trivia. And again, we really want to give you an opportunity to meet each other. For the trivia, we will be using Kahoot. So if you haven't used this before, you don't have to do it right now, but we want to make sure you have another device. It can be a phone or some other tool that you can go to the website, www.kahoot.it, and we're going to give you a game pin so that you can enter and join in the fun. So now let's get started. It is my pleasure to introduce you to our moderator for the afternoon. Adrian is a graduate from the Miami Herbert Business School. He graduated in 2018, and he is a member of our prestigious Iron Arrow. As a student, he served as Sebastian the Ibis, and now as an alumnus, he works at the University of Miami as the Community Engagement Coordinator in the Office of Government and Community Relations. Thank you so much for being here with us, Adrian. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Desiree, and so happy to be here with so many students and parents and family members across the country. And I really want to thank you all. As Desiree mentioned, I work in the Office of Government and Community Relations. But 6 years ago, I was in your shoes, getting ready to start at the University of Miami, where I'm a proud graduate of the Miami Herbert Business School. And so while I tell you a little bit about myself, I want you all to join us in the chat and tell us what school or college you'll be attending. So if you're coming to the business school, I'd love to hear from you and connect with you. But if you're going to be at one of our other great colleges or schools, please let us know. We want to hear from you so our panelists can get to know you as well. Like I mentioned, 6 years ago, I was getting started at UM. And over those 4 years, I was able to get involved with student government, orientation, homecoming. But by far, my favorite involvement at the U was being Sebastian the Ibis. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later in the program. And now, you know, as an alumnus and an employee, and I'm pursuing my master's at the university, I live and breathe UM. So this network that you saw in that map of alumni across the country is critical for me as I pursue my career and I get to connect with alumni all across the country. So thank you all for being here. This is the first step in your journey, and I hope you all will share with us in the chat what you all are going to be involved in. And so with that, I want to get us connected with our panelists. And first and foremost, I'm going to introduce our president of the New York Canes community, Mr. Jerry Goldstein, who graduated with his BBA in 1989. So Jerry is a graduate of the School of Business with a degree in international finance and marketing, and he went on to study law. He is now a practicing attorney and business owner, and has been the VP and Chief Legal Officer of an intellectual property company headquartered in Bermuda since 2015. Jerry is the prime example of what it means to bleed orange and green. He's not only an alum, he's not only the president of the New York Canes community, he is a Miami Hurricanes athletics fan, and he is a legacy parent of two. His son Jared graduated from the Frost School of Music in 2016, and that is the music that you heard at the top of our program. And his daughter, Leah, who we'll meet later in the program, is currently starting her senior year at the Miami Herbert School of Business, and you'll see her as the captain of our co-ed cheer team. And so he is a stellar example of the caliber of students that graduate from the U. And so welcome, Jerry, and welcome our family here to the program.
Thank you for that very kind introduction, Adrian. And welcome to our incoming students and your families during these unprecedented times. I've actually met some of you, and I must say, I'm very, very proud of the caliber and quality of this incoming class. Last summer, I attended a luncheon with President Frank at which he laid out his vision for enhancing the University of Miami's presence in New York City. The goal, a presence as strong as if there were a campus in the heart of New York. Today, the largest concentration of University of Miami alumni outside of Florida is in fact in New York. The tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut are home to over 20,000 graduates. So, President Frank's vision is easily understood, attainable, and critical in our mission to become a global leader in education. As part of President Frank's initiative, we're leading a relaunch of the New York Canes community. No longer will we operate under a traditional alumni chapter model. Our events and programming will include and welcome current students, parents, alumni, and anyone with a love for the University of Miami. We have a board in place who are in attendance here tonight. If you're able, please welcome our class of 2024 in the chat function when I mention your name. First, our immediate past presidents, Clarissa Carlucci and Michael Gahari. Michael, a 2011 graduate, and Clarissa, a 2012 graduate, both of the Miami Business School, continue to serve on our board after years of leadership, developing a robust calendar of events and networks in New York. I cannot thank them enough for their service and the guidance they have provided our board. John Ruzick is our president-elect and a 1996 graduate of our School of Communication. John and I have collaborated to create a vision for the Canes community that embraces the student on the day they commit to the U and engages them through a lifetime of being a Miami Hurricane. Our vice president is Rose Petrillo, a 2010 graduate of the Miami Business School, and she's a great resource not only to our board, but she has an open door for students and graduates who are thrust into the current environment of uncertainty. Finally, our secretary is Jared Goldstein, a 2016 graduate of the Frost School of Music. I want to thank Jared for his hard work creating assets for our social media and organizing our communications with alumni and the administration. We had all looked forward to welcoming you in person this summer through various exciting events we had planned. We're building opportunities to connect you with other students and alumni, which are all, unfortunately, but understandably, on hold right now. Now more than ever, the power of our alumni community and the opportunities we are working on for you are so important. I understand that uncertainty can be disruptive, and as a parent of a senior, I am, of course, concerned for her health and safety. You have decisions to make regarding travel, living arrangements, whether to participate online or in person, but you're not alone. You're doing this as a member of the University of Miami community. The fact that you were accepted to and decided to attend Miami speaks volumes about your character and your credentials. You know what you need to be a successful student. You know what you're hoping to get out of your education. You may be struggling with a decision as to whether you should go to remote learning. Don't be swayed by those who say remote learning is lesser quality, or my child doesn't learn as well online. First of all, how many of us have really had to make a drastic shift to online learning before 5 months ago? And second, this is not going away. The fact that you can adjust to remote working and online interaction makes you a more valuable asset in whatever you do. Embrace virtual education. Instead of waiting for a professor at the door of a classroom, send an email, ask for a Zoom conference, connect to them on LinkedIn, call them on the telephone, text them. Turn skepticism and disappointment into a positive and help your professors be better. After all, don't we all just want to be the best we can be? You can't know how to get better if you don't have disappointment and hurdles mixed in with your triumphs. If you're going to campus, be smart, be safe, and look out for each other. That's what Miami Hurricanes do. Our alumni, faculty, staff, and supporters are always happy to interact with you. Take advantage of the Career Center, resources, and the many mentoring programs we have, and join your local Canes community. This is not going to be what you expected, but there are things that will never change. You will be a member of one of the most naturally diverse student bodies in America. Our campus is uniquely geographically situated in a suburb of one of the most culturally diverse cities in the world, considered to be the gateway to Latin America. The cross-section of all of these cultures share common principles of education, family, health, and community. You have an alumni association that strives to be better and better every day. You have South Florida's best health system, which boasts one of the nation's top medical schools, a world-class teaching hospital, ownership of 3 major hospitals, and over 30 outpatient facilities. You have a world-class athletic program. And most of all, you have leadership that you can rest assured works to provide you with all of the best available opportunities for becoming the best you possible. Don't settle for good, be great.
Thank you for those reassuring remarks, Jerry. I couldn't have put it better myself. I'm glad to see in the chat that some of our attendees are telling us what school or college they're going to be participating or being a part of. And I'm seeing the Miami Herbert Business School. I'm seeing students that are coming for musical theater, which is great. And even some students at our Marine campus in Key Biscayne, which is always nice to see. And our next panelist is going to be a graduate from the School of Communications, a good friend and colleague of mine, Mike Piacentino. Mike Piacentino is a double Cane who graduated in 2014 and again in 2018 with his master's degree. He's representing our Division of Student Affairs as the manager for Student Affairs Communications, and he's a member of our prestigious Iron Arrow Honor Society, the highest honor attained at the university. My good friend Mike, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Adrian, for that wonderful introduction. Yes, as Adrian said, I am a double Cane, graduating with both my bachelor's and master's from the School of Communication. I am also a fellow tri-state area Cane. I'm originally from Toms River, New Jersey. So if there are any folks from Ocean County, say hi to all of you all out there. So yes, I am here representing the Division of Student Affairs, and a lot of folks may not be familiar immediately with what the Division of Student Affairs is and what we make up. And I'd like to kind of describe us as providing all of the programs, services, and facilities that students will interact with on a daily basis while they're on campus, and now also if they're attending classes remotely. So our student affairs philosophy and how we guide and approach our work is very similar to what Jerry talked about with Canes looking out for one another. And our philosophy on campus is that Canes care for Canes. We're all here for one another. We're all here to support one another. And the Division of Student Affairs has some very intentional programming, services, and facilities by which we do that. To address a lot of the support and things that students need while they're on campus, we break down our work into 4 key areas. Student well-being and resiliency, which is important now more than ever, but has always been at the core of what we do, is ensuring that students learn the skills and the practices necessary to overcome challenges in their life, to be resilient, to bounce back when things get them down, but also support their mental health, their physical health, and all their needs that they have while they're on campus. Another cornerstone of our programming, services, and facilities is diversity and inclusiveness. Again, always at the heart of what we've done. We value, respect, and we welcome all Canes, as Desiree and Jerry both mentioned, from across the country and also from across the world. We are certainly one of the most diverse colleges and universities that you're going to see in this country. And again, our programming and the services that we provide meet the needs of students for what they expect and what they need while on campus. The third pillar of our division is our supporting student transition and connection. Right now, you're at one of the biggest transition points of your life, which is becoming a student at the University of Miami. I was in your shoes not that long ago, now about 10 years ago at this point. And so we're here to support you during your transition into campus through our orientation and Cane Kickoff program. While you're a student on campus, making connections with the university community through student programming, activities, events, student organizations. And our fourth pillar in student affairs is really that student engagement. So what are you doing in the classroom that you can connect to your involvements on campus, the clubs that you're a part of, the research opportunities that you'll take? How can you translate those into skills, abilities, knowledge that you can use once you graduate and become an alum like us here and really enter that working world or onto your graduate degree. Student Affairs is also here to support you outside the classroom and develop your skills. So I think the message that I want to leave you with, start off with today, is again very similar to what Jerry had mentioned about the fact that we're all here to support you. Events such as this and the many other different live streams and all the other services that the Office of Admission has provided or orientation has provided. You have folks here that are here for you and that are ready to support what you need, answer as many questions as we can. You know, right now everything is certainly a challenging time for all of us as we try to address the many uncertainties coming on from this global pandemic. But the university has been sending out a variety of different messages. There is the coronavirus website that you can always go to visit and get the latest information about what the university is doing as we respond to the pandemic. But hoping that we can get to a lot of different questions and really kind of talk to you about what it is to be a part of this Miami hurricane community and what it will be like for you all once you join this amazing, amazing family of hurricanes.
Thank you so much, Mike. Always insightful, bringing the wisdom to the table. And for our final panelist, I want to introduce Danny Apple. She's a sophomore majoring in broadcast journalism with a minor in sports medicine. So that's a cool combo I want to hear about later. She's a member of a sorority and she plays tennis on the tennis club. And she's also P100, which is our President's 100 ambassadors, our campus ambassadors, some of our top students here. So Danny, thank you for joining us and tell us a little bit about your experience.
Hi guys, I'm Danny. Welcome to the U. You're truly about to embark on the best year. I'm going to be a sophomore this year, like Adrian said, but freshman year was truly amazing despite having to go online for the second part of the second half. Like he said, I'm a P100, so I give tours on campus, which is a great way to really become accustomed to the campus and meet a ton of different people. I'm also part of a sorority on campus, which is another thing I totally recommend to meet more people and just become even more involved. So if you guys have any questions, be sure to leave it in the chat. I know it's definitely daunting right now, especially with everything going on, just having to decide whether you're going to go online or come to campus. But either way, eventually you'll be back on campus and things will return to normal and you'll be able to experience everything VU has to offer.
Thank you so much, Danny. And a perfect segue, we are going to move to a Q&A now with our panelists. So I'm going to invite them back. I've seen a lot of great chatter in the chat. I'm going to ask you all to switch over to the Q&A function and ask your questions there, any that you might have for the panelists. And I saw in the chat a message from Hannah, who's transferring to the university as a junior to our Marine campus. And so welcome to the U. We are all here to support you through that transition. And I know I speak for all of us here on the call when I say we're here for you and welcome. So with that, I'm going to open the panel with some of the questions that I've seen in the chat as you all have been making your remarks. And this is going to be for Jerry. I know you mentioned this in your remarks, but as a parent, can you share some of your experiences having a student living on campus? And with the news that's happening now, what you might share about that for a parent who's getting ready to send their student off to college?
Well, you have to remember, I think one of the most important things to remember is your student is now an adult. And it's time to cut the strings as much as possible. And I know that's difficult. When I brought my son to the University of Miami, he was assigned a room in the McDonald Tower in Hecht. And I remember bringing him in and thinking to myself, I think this is the room that I had when I was a freshman. And it was. We were placed in the exact same room. And that sort of jarred me into remembering when my parents dropped me off. And it was a bittersweet moment, but it really made me want to give him the freedom and the leeway that he would have had anyway in a couple of days when I left. But there was a realization that was his time to shine and make a name for himself. Uh, I then, 6 years later, dropped my daughter off, who is there now, and she's a senior. And it was a similar situation. She didn't get the same room, but she was in the same building. And you have to have confidence in your children that you've done all you can do, and they're going to do well, and they've gotten themselves accepted. They've done everything they've had to do to be there. And now you can just flourish in the glory of watching them grow and succeed and being part of a community that's unlike any other university you can find.
Thank you, Jerry. And with that, I want to follow up with Mike. From my experience working with student affairs, I can only imagine that the division has been working around the clock as we prepare for the academic year. So with the questions that were pre-sent and some of the ones popping up in the Q&A now, could you give us an update from student affairs on some of the things that students and families might expect?
Sure. So as Adrian mentioned, there have been hundreds, if not thousands, of staff members, as well as university leadership and administration, that have been responding to the COVID pandemic for months. And there, as I said, there is the university's coronavirus website that can provide parents, students, and all folks connected to the university with the latest updates and decisions and actions from the university. And there should be a communication coming out in the next day or so, again, to kind of provide the latest updates on what's been happening. I'll cover 4 areas really quickly. For housing, there is the university's pre-arrival testing requirement that was announced recently. There's information about that on Housing's website, and that was sent to students. And also there is going to be a series of protocols and policies in place related to overnight guests and folks that can come into the building, all the different, kind of social distancing, physical distancing within the residential areas. Again, all of that lives on Housing's website. You can get more information there. Dining, as again shared in different university communications, will be a blend of takeaway options as well as eating in options, again with physical distancing and those sorts of things in place. Student programming, right now the president has decided that all indoor events and meetings will be canceled until at least November 1st, but there is going to be a multitude of outdoor spaces. For anyone that has visited the Coral Gables campus, you can see Adrian's picture, how wonderfully lush our campus is. Plenty of outdoor spaces and Florida sunshine to enjoy. So we'll be certainly taking advantage of those for outdoor programming. And then of course, all of our facilities are being cleaned frequently, multiple times a day, fully sanitized. Air circulation is being turned over often. And again, all those specifics, I don't want to get into them too much on this type of event. All that information is available on the coronavirus website. But there are certainly a lot being done right now to prepare for campus. But I also want to mention that we can't do this alone, right? All the work that's being done over the summer in the last few months, I don't want to say it will be in vain, but we're hoping that students will work with us, follow the guidelines, follow the policies that we're putting out. And again, as I said, Canes care for Canes. So we're all going to do our part to keep our campus community safe.
Thank you so much, Mike. And just as I expected, I knew you all were working around the clock for our students as always. So thank you for that update. I wanted to turn this over now to Danny, and I see that Jerry, thank you so much for answering this question from Jay. In your experience as a student, and I want to hear also about your combination of major and minor. It sounds like a fun one, but in your experience as a student, your freshman year, did you make a LinkedIn account before you got to campus? What has your experience been like with LinkedIn?
Sorry. I actually did not make a LinkedIn account before attending the U. I think it's something a lot of times in your classes, your professors will work with you on doing. So I was definitely not at a disadvantage beforehand. I actually found, in terms of meeting other students, I found the Facebook group to be super helpful. I actually met a ton of people that I ended up meeting on campus like within the first week, just by connecting ahead of time. But in terms of like building your network, you'll definitely get there later on and you don't have to worry about LinkedIn right now.
Thank you for that. And I'm going to go to Jerry for the flip side of that. After you graduate from the University of Miami, a lot of our students here are coming from the Northeast. Let's say they come to UM finding a job back in the Northeast if they want to go back. What is that experience like? Can you share some of your experiences?
Sure. So I've been working diligently with my board and a core group of the New York Canes to develop relationships and opportunities for our students that want to come back to New York. And to give you an example, we have an alumni who's the global head of hiring for Citicorp. He's an outstanding hurricane, very supportive, and he's created a program called City Canes. He will come to campus. You're smiling because you probably know who I'm talking about. He will come to campus and they will run programs and recruit directly to the New York office. And I'm not talking about 1 or 2 students. I'm talking about 15 to 20 who are per summer, who are taken in as summer analysts, and most of whom are offered jobs upon graduation. So we have that individual who is also trying to help us create more programs like that at other employers. We have alumni in architecture, sports, law, throughout every industry who are encouraged and who actually reserve spots for internships and prefer to hire from the University of Miami. So as an alumni community, and even with some parents involved, we're working tirelessly to make sure that Canes have preference when they come back to New York for jobs and at least networks and connections.
And if I could add something to what Jerry said, I was also smiling because I've met the individual he's talking about, and I was not a School of Business graduate. I had another internship lined up from the School of Communication in New York City for a summer, and through the Cane Network, through mutual connections, wound up meeting all sorts of people, including, and then I got a tour of the city office, and he took me around and introduced me to all sorts of people, and I wasn't even from the School of Business, and I would never be a good fit for the business world and the banking industry, but that wasn't the point. His point was to make connections, meet people, and help out and support whoever you can. So also don't think that whatever school or major you're joining is going to lock you in for life to only that industry. The Canes Network is far and wide, and we're going to support each other no matter how we can.
Thank you both for that, and I'll join in that story. A couple years ago, the Pinstripe Bowl in New York City, right in front of me, the direct seat in front of me was this king of the City Canes. And we started chatting up a conversation, and, you know, he talked to me all about the program. I was not pursuing a career in the banking industry. And so he's just a great person. And this just speaks volumes about our Cane community all across the country, in any city that you go. And so we have time for one more question that I'm going to send over to Danny. You talked about some of your experiences as a student, some of the things that you're involved in. A sorority, P100, playing tennis. First of all, how do you have time for all of this? And then if you could just tell us some of your experience, why did you decide to join P100 and some of the other involvements that you have?
Totally. So in the beginning, I remember going to the club fair in the beginning of the year, and I was so overwhelmed because we have so many, like literally everything you can think of. And I think I probably tried like 15 different clubs and organizations, and I just found what worked for me and what I was really passionate about. And I decided later on second semester to join a sorority just because that helped me to find a group of people that I really connected with and found like a home within the U. In terms of P100, I decided to join because I was so excited. Honestly, the moment I walked on campus, I knew I wanted to be a Miami Hurricane. So I kind of just wanted to share our unique campus with all of the prospective students and kind of be able to shed light on what makes our university so special. in terms of managing time for everything, it definitely takes like you just have to like do it and figure out what works for you. And like I told you before, I switched my major a bunch of different times. So when I was doing one of the more time consuming majors, I was like a chemistry major for a second. That like did not give me enough time to do a lot of clubs, just since I was having to devote a lot of more time to studying. But then when I decided to switch into the School of Communication, that opened up a little more time for me to play tennis and get involved with P100. So right now I'm really excited about all of the different things I'm doing. So honestly, it's just a lot of different, you just have to like see what works for you, but there's definitely time to do it all. And BU gives you a lot of flexibility to try a ton of different things.
Thank you for that. And I know in the Q&A, there's a question from Isabella about getting involved on campus, and rest assured there will be plenty of opportunities for you to interact with our current students who want you to be involved in their organizations. So be clear, there will be plenty of time for that. But like Danny said, you know, having this time at college, I will always say some of the most important things you'll learn are in the classroom, but likewise outside of the classroom with your fellow Canes. And so take advantage of your time that you have at the U. And with that, like I mentioned, one of my favorite involvements at the U was being Sebastian the Ibis. I brought my jersey here with me today to show you all. Here it is. For 3 years, I was able to be in the end zone of football games, on the court for basketball games. I was able to fly to New York for a wedding, fly to St. Louis for a Buffalo Wild Wings commercial. And so this is one of the coolest experiences that only a few people have had in their lifetime. And so I encourage you all to really get ingrained with campus, really be a part of the Canes family, and you will end up like Mike, Jerry, Danny, and myself bleeding orange and green out here. And so with that, we want to share with you a little bit about our history through the lens of Sebastian. I love that. Brings me chills every time. I wish I could be back out there, but I probably wouldn't fit in the suit anymore. So now, as we mentioned earlier in the program, we're going to be using Kahoot to do a little trivia with you all. And for those who are not familiar with Kahoot, it's a great platform that we're going to be using. And on a different device than the one you're on right now, you'll see in the chat, Desiree is putting kahoot.it. And you'll be able to put the game pin, which is listed here, 594087. And I'll give you some time to do that. You can add your nickname. We encourage you all to participate. We already have one player in. Oh, they're coming up. All right, great. Thank you all for joining us. We'll give you all a few minutes to jump on Kahoot, and we'll have a couple of questions here for our trivia. All right, I see Jose, Lucy, Sirio, Hannah, Bella, Alexa, the Shaftons are here, Kari. Go ahead and jump on Kahoot. All right, people are joining. We'll go ahead and get started in just a second. Paul, thank you for joining us. Clarissa, thank you. Adam, glad to see you on here. Elaine, Stephen. Awesome, we'll give it a few more seconds. We'll go ahead and get started. All right, it looks like we're good. Awesome. So our first question coming up is going to be, which of these was the first name for the Sebastian? All right, 3 seconds. All right, 4 fun friends out here with the right answer. Icky, yes, Icky, we've gone through iterations of our mascot. Icky was the first one, and you have seen in the video that Sebastian has looked a little different over the years. Now he looks more fun than some of those early years when students were making the costume by hand. So thank you all for answering that, and we'll move on to the next question. Oh. All right, second question. Which of these was the first university president? Was it Tad Foote? Was it Donna Shalala? Bowman Ash? And Stanford? All right, 3 seconds to answer. Almost everyone got it there, I'm pretty sure. All right, 9 folks out here with Bowman Foster Ash, the correct answer. And the university, of course, chartered in 1925, almost 100 years old, but started by Bowman Foster Ash, a great man who served as president all the way until 1952. But now we are joined by our 6th president, Dr. Julio Frank, who is leading the university through unprecedented times, and we're grateful for his work. And so with that, we'll go to the next one. All right, someone's moved into first place. Mike, welcome to first place. What is the significance of the Ibis? Is it purity because it's white? The last leaf makes it adorable? Or the last leaf is first to return after a storm? All right, let's see what we have here. Good, a majority of us got that one. Last to leave and first to return after a storm. Egyptian folklore says that the Ibis is the last to stay before any storm and the first to appear after the storm is past. The University of Miami, born out of a hurricane, decided to reclaim this and have the Ibis as its mascot. So with that, we'll move to our final question and see what the scoreboard's looking like. Elena, thank you for jumping up to first place. Let's see if you could keep it. All right, the final question. Why are the used colors orange, green, and white? Is it the orange tree, the southern sunset on Biscayne's wondrous shores, or to match the Miami Dolphins? All right, couple seconds left. It certainly is the orange tree, and 16 of you got that one. The orange tree, orange for the fruit, of course, green for the leaves, and white for the blossoms. So that is why we are orange, white, and green. And with that, Thank you all for playing our hurricane trivia here. And Kyle came out of nowhere in the end in third place, then in second place. Who took it? Let's see. Elena kept it. All right, congratulations. Very good, and thank you all for playing. And with that, I want to invite everyone, thank you all for being so engaged with us in the chat and playing on the Kahoot trivia. I want to offer our students who are on the call today to introduce themselves if you all would like. You can raise your hand and we will call on you to unmute yourself and introduce yourself. So feel free to do that. Otherwise, you can continue to chat with us and tell us where you're from, your name, where you'll be living, and why you chose to come to the U. So I'll give you all a few seconds to come and join us, connect with us here in person, and put that first foot forward into being a part of the U community. So I'm gonna check in the chat, see all of our friends jumping on here. Great to see. And with that, I'm going to introduce a good friend of mine, who is Leah Goldstein, the captain of the UM cheerleaders. She's going to jump on with us. And Leah and I share a friendly experience being a part of the Spirit Squad here at the university. As a cheerleader, I cannot do half the things that they have to do, nor half the training that they have to do. But we do have the same amount of fun out on game day and across the country at different sporting events. So Leah, I want you to introduce yourself, tell us about yourself, and we'll go ahead and talk from there.
Hi, my name is Leah. I'm from New Jersey. I'm going to be a senior. I'm studying accounting as my major, minor in finance. I've been cheering since I was a little girl, so I always knew I wanted to cheer in college, and cheering at Miami just made it next level. So it's such a great experience, and now to be captain in my fourth and final year is just amazing.
Thank you for that, and I have to ask you, I know cheerleaders are traveling all the time with different teams. What has been your favorite city to travel to with the team?
Well, we've traveled to some great places. I think my favorite place to travel to was the FSU game, just seeing all the fans, both sides being crazy, getting ready for the game, the excitement, being in that stadium with everybody and beating them my freshman year was just awesome.
Yes, FSU is always a hit for all students. My senior year, I took the opportunity to go as a fan, as a student, and be in the stands. So definitely a great time. So we've been tasked with some important task here about teaching our incoming students how to properly throw up the U. And I know that we've seen some funky stuff when we're out there on the field looking into the stands. I've seen this one for Utah.
I've seen that.
The 10 fingers. I've seen some of these, some W's. So we're going to teach you how to properly throw up the U. It's critical. You know, we want you to have your best first impression when you get on campus, knowing how to throw up that strong U. So Leah, can you show us how it's done?
Of course. Nice solid U.
Just like that, you see thumbs connected, all of her fingers together, a beautiful U, just as a cheerleader would have. And so just like that, you could see anybody in the street throw up a U at them. And so we strongly encourage you all to start practicing, really stretch out your fingers in the morning when you wake up and get used to throwing up the U. And with that, we want to show you one of our favorite cheers at UM, which is Arcane Spell Out. You'll see Sebastian do it when anything big happens at a football game or a basketball game. So we have that lined up for you all.
Sebastian the Ibis is the official mascot of the Miami Hurricanes. The ibis is a native Florida bird and is last to leave before a hurricane and first to return after a storm, making the ibis a symbol of strength and resilience. You can find our Ibis Sebastian around campus in athletic events where you can be seen performing the cane spell out. Let's break it down. When Sebastian gets low, raise your arms, shake your hands, and say, "Oh." Then when Sebastian signals, we'll all spell canes together. C-A-N-E-S, canes. Let's try it together slowly. Ready, Sebastian? Oh, C-A-N-E-S, canes. Perfect. Now let's try it together full speed. Oh, C-A-N-E-S, canes.
And there you have it. If you can imagine it, you see Sebastian there in a deep squat. I had to do that also. I don't think I could do that today. And with that, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I'm going to turn it over to Jerry, who's going to close us out here. I know it's been a fantastic event, and I'm glad to have Leah and Jerry, Mike and Danny on with us today. Jerry, take it away.
Well, I want to thank everybody. We had a terrific turnout. We had over 200 people register to be here today. And I want to congratulate everybody who was accepted and committed to the University of Miami. You will never be sorry that you attended the University of Miami. And I just want to put out there that as an alumni association, as a Canes community, we are there for parents and students and alumni. So if we can be of any service, connect to me on LinkedIn. It's Jerry D. Goldstein on LinkedIn. Send me an email. It's j.goldstein67@miami.edu. However I can help, especially you incoming students, I will help. We can hook you up with other students on campus if you're having difficulty meeting people. And if you feel that your voice is not being heard, contact me. I'll coach you, and we'll make sure that this is the best experience you could possibly have in college. Go Canes.
Thank you, Jerry. And with that, I want to invite our other panelists to come onto the screen. And before we close out, I really would be remiss if I didn't thank our alumni team and our strategic events team who have put this all together for you all today. They're doing a fantastic job in this virtual landscape. And like Jerry said, go Canes. Thank you all for joining us.